Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are joining from, whether you are joining us from the hustle of Lagos, or you are joining from the quiet hills of Abuja, or you are connecting from Accra in Ghana, or you are connecting from Nairobi, or even you are in the US or London, you are welcome. My name is Oluwole Omojofodun. I'm the proposal review team lead and the founder of GrantsDatabase.org. And if you are here today, it is because you understand one fundamental truth, and that truth is the business of doing good is still a business, and like any business, it runs on capital. In today's session, it's not about motivation, it's about strategy. So welcome to the 2026 Global Funding Outlook. So let's begin. Funding is a business. 2026 rules are also different. So if you have been following my work at Grant Database, especially our following the money forensic reports, then you already know one thing, and that is I don't believe in fluff. I don't believe in empty encouragement. I believe in data. I believe in patterns. I can tell you confidently, we are entering 2026 and the game has changed. As we have entered 2026, the game has completely changed. The strategies that help you win grants in 2023 are the exact strategies that will get you rejected in 2026. And why is that? Because the world is different. The post-COVID sympathy bump is over. The global economy is tightening, and donors are becoming far more surgical in how they deploy cash. So today we are going into what I call the war room, like the war room. So we will dissect the micro trends, the sector trends, the technological gatekeepers, and the real opportunities for Nigerian and Africa organizations. My goal is very simple. By the end of this webinar, you will not just be inspired, you will be armed with relevant information. So we'll be talking about inflation, devaluation, and the value for money. The value for money. So we're going to start with the hardest conversation first. The hardest conversation now, which is on the economy. Those of us living in Nigeria, or if you are living in Kenya or Ghana, we don't need lectures about inflation. We live it. We live in it. We live inflation. Now, the naira, the CD, the shilling, we know that devaluation has done. We know what devaluation has done to operational cost. But here is the biggest mistake I see 90% of NGOs making right now. You are scared to tell donors the truth about the cost. You under budget because you want to look competitive. You think if I ask for less, they will pick me. In 2026, that is a death sentence. Donors are not stupid. They read World Bank reports. They know inflation is high. So when you submit a budget that looks too cheap, they think that you are they don't think you are efficient. They think you are unrealistic. They think this organization will run out of money in the third month and the project will fail. So here is the 2026 forecast. Smart donors are now building in contingency buffers of like 10 to 15%. So my advice in this sense is that stop under budgeting. If you need solar backup because diesel is expensive and the grid is unreliable, put it in the budget. Justify it as a business continuity assurance. Now, in 2026, donors are prioritizing resilience over cheapness. They want to know you can survive the storm, not that you are the cheapest boat in the river. Yeah, they really want to know that. So now, where is the money hiding? So let's look at some areas where the money is hiding. We're going to be talking about looking at sectors based on forensic funding analysis that we've done at Grant Database. Now, the very big question here is that where is the actual money hiding? Because funding has not disappeared, it has simply moved Based on our forensic analysis of the third quarter of 2025 calls and the strategic plans for major foundations like the MasterCard Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and the MacArthur Foundation, here is what 2026 is revealing. Number one, donors are narrowing focus. They want high impact, high alignment sectors. So let me show you the three biggest funding hotspots for 2026. The first, here is the rule for 2026. There is no such thing as non-climate grant anymore. I don't care if you run a library or if you run a health clinic or even a dance troupe. Now the trap is thinking that climate money is not for my sector, but the reality is donors have climate integration targets. They need to show their board that 100% of their portfolio is climate smart. Example, let's look at this example. You run a primary school in Ogun State. The old pitch could be like, we need books and t-shirts. Now, the 2026 pitch should become that we need to retrofit our roof for rainwater harvesting because drought is affecting attendance, and we will teach climate resilience as part of the curriculum. Suddenly, you are eligible for education funds and climate adaptation funds. Climate is no longer a sector, it is a filter across every sector. A filter across every sector. So this is the first area of where the money is hiding. The second area is on digital jobs and Japa defense. If you are in Nigeria, you know what Japa is. So youth must pivot. Now, this is the second funding hotspot, is the youth empowerment. But youth empowerment has evolved. The era of generic entrepreneurship training is ending. Teaching people to make soap or beads, the market is saturated. The new hotspot is digital trade and the gig economy. Western populations are aging. Africa is young. Donors want to solve migration pressures, that what Nigeria has called Japa. If you're in Nigeria, Japa means to relocate, to find greener pasture, to leave the country. So by creating jobs here that serve markets there. So the winning pivot is position your youth programs around number one, global outsourcing, coding for climate, AI labeling, remote digital work. Pitch the narrative that keeping Nigerian talent in Nigeria by any global income. That is where the money is moving. That is the second sector. Now the third sector is on the food security. Processing and logistics are the new gold mine. So this is the third hotspot, food security. For years, donors funded farming, planting seeds, but Nigeria still loses about 40 to 50% of food after harvest. So the 2026 shift is very, very clear. Funding is moving from production to processing and logistics. So don't ask for money to buy seeds, ask for money to build solar cold storage, ask for localized processing plants, ask for value chain infrastructure. That is the language donors are speaking now. Food systems, not farming. So another area is the AI is the new gatekeeper. So your first reader is an algorithm. Now let's talk about the technology of winning. Now this part scares people a lot, but it should empower you. Major foundations receive thousands of applications. Do you think humans read 5,000 PDFs on day one? No, not at all. In 2026, your first reader is an algorithm. AI scans proposals for semantic relevance and alignment. If you don't hit the threshold, you are filtered out because a human before a human ever sees your name. So the mistake is writing with pure emotion. Our children are suffering. Please help. The fix is writing with data logic. 35% of children in ex-local government area are malnourished. Or you write like leading to measurable cognitive decline. You can say that our intervention reverses this by you put in whatever you want to say. So don't use AI to write your whole proposal. Do not serve detectors also, but do use AI strategically. Extract donor keywords, identify hidden priorities, then weave those exact words into your narrative. Fight fire with fire. Yes, fight fire with fire. So another thing we want to look at again is on the compliance wall, localization and the compliance wall. Now, I want you to know that institutions win, not individuals, right? Now, localization. For years, we complained that why does the money go to big international non-governmental organizations? This tide is turning around. USAID and others want to fund local organizations directly. Bigger organizations, they want to fund local organizations directly, but here is the catch. They want to fund institutions, not individual. Too many non-profit organizations are run by like it's personal shops, personal bank account, no real board, no audit trail. The compliance wall of 2026 is here. No school mail, no audited accounts, no safeguarding policy. You are high risk, and in 2026, risk is the enemy. Now the challenge here is that stop writing proposals for 2 weeks. Fix your governance, because when the 500,000 opportunity comes, structure will matter more than passion. More than passion. Yeah. So let's talk about consortium and how they win grants. Now, stop eating alone. Final strategic point is on collaboration. West Africa suffers from silo mentality. We hide ideas. We want to be founder of everything, but donors are issuing larger grants, $2 million to $5 million, and fewer of them. A small NGO in Ibadan cannot absorb $2 million alone. But 5 NGOs together, that is a powerhouse. In 2026, winners will be consortiums. Find partners who complement you. Submit joint proposals. It shows maturity. It reduces risks. It shows mission over ego. So there are some questions there that we'll be taking as part of this short webinar. And one of them is, before we close, I'm going to address these 3 questions I get on a daily basis. The first is, I'm a startup NGO with no track record. With no track record. Now, the answer, or what I will tell you, is that stop chasing the United Nations. Start with micro grants, build evidence, do something small with your own funds. Momentum attracts funds, it attracts money. And the second thing is that they ask for matching funds. Matching does not always mean cash. Volunteer hours have value. Office space has value. Equipment has value. Calculating kind contributions properly. And the third question is on the exchange rate volatility. So negotiate holding funds in USD, in US dollar if possible. Ask for tranche-based budgeting. So build inflation adjustment reviews into contracts. And the silent killer is not rejection, it is currency erosion. Yeah, currency erosion is a silent killer. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. 2026 is not a year for the timid, it is a year for the strategy. So fix your governance, embrace the data, form alliance. The money is there. The problem are there. You are the bridge. Thank you for joining us today. This is brought to you by GrantsDatabase. GrantsDatabase is a funding intelligence for African and global organizations. So we are going to be taking some questions that we'll be looking at later. You can check us out at grantdatabase.org, or you can send email on outreach@grantdatabase.org. You can reach out on our phone number and check us out on our social media. So if you have questions, you can drop it in the comment wherever you are seeing this, and we hope we soon be bringing up the webinar for February 2026. So thank you, as we'll be awaiting for your questions to answer them.